The village of Liss in Hampshire has a most unusual campanile. My father and I visited it one chilly Sunday afternoon in January 1984. This is a record of what we found.
Here sitting in your little campanile. My friend, your friend Andrew Barnsdale, has told me rather a lot about you, but I'd like to hear from you how this all started.
Well, my brother and myself were taught to ring at the St Mary's Church, which is just over the way, about 10 years ago, and we liked bell ringing so much we thought we'd like our own bells. The only thing was we couldn't afford real bells, so the first thing we thought of was buckets. They look a bit like bells. So we tried hanging some buckets for ringing. It wasn't very easy, so because we were still quite young and weren't very technically minded at the time. We had these 4 buckets hung for ringing just up there, with a rope circle which was about a foot square, and they weren't very good because they kept breaking, obviously. But between 1974, which was when we put those up, till 1976, we gradually augmented them to 12. And about a year ago we had the whole lot down and restored them all, and several new buckets took some of the old ones out and put new ones in, and we had quite a decent number of 12 buckets, but with the chance of these clay bells came along, and so we took it. We scrapped the buckets as it was becoming increasingly obvious that the Central Council weren't going to allow performances to be accepted on them. So we're now hoping that the Central Council will change their minds and accept our performances on these as true performances, which indeed they are.
Well, I've heard your bells ringing, and I must admit they sound a great deal more tuneful than one would expect from clay. Did you have any trouble finding the bells?
Well, not really. Derek Yates, who made most of the fittings for these, put us on to the people, as he knew they made garden equipment. And we went up there and told them what we wanted, and they sort of laughed at us a bit, and eventually they sort of came to realise that they could do it. So they came out with delivery of them in about a month, which is quite good.
It's jolly sight faster than having them cast, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. A lot cheaper as well, because the whole lot, the complete 14, which is a ring of 12 with a flat sixth and a sharp treble that gives you a light 10 as well, cost us under £10.
That would make people sit up and take notice. And you've got them located in the loft of this garage.
What do you call it all? Well, in actual fact, all of them have what we call counterbalance clappers. In actual fact, they're a length of threaded bar with a weight at the top, which is fully adjustable, and a weight at the bottom, which is also fully adjustable. We have a round wooden disc here, which actually strikes the bell, and the fact that it's wood will obviously prevent any damage being done to it over a period of time. If you can imagine a steel or something, a clapper hitting the side of it, it's going to obviously chip it away. But these wooden ones obviously won't do that. They also have the effect of making the sound more mellow.
And how actually is the bell hung?
Well,
you've got that wheel, haven't you?
In the same way as any conventional bell, we have a wheel. It only has a single spoke, but the red ties, both sides, prevent the wheel from moving in any direction. The spoke stops it moving that way, and the ties stop it moving that way. They're on a plain bearing which is screwed to the bottom of the headstock both sides, or the gudgeon rather, and the bearing caps on top which are filled up with grease. And obviously clay bell isn't going to take much tightening up with bolts, so they're actually bonded to the headstock with ordinary ice-upon body filler that you'd use on dents in cars. Acts as a padding. It just stops it fills up the sort of the small hollow at the top of the bell, and
I see.
It's stuck to the headstock, preventing damage happening.
Glue and a buffer at the same time. Yeah.
The clapper is held into the headstock with a bolt which goes all the way through, and it has, if you can see out there, a rubber washer followed by a metal washer which holds it all steady. Obviously the idea of the rubber is to prevent anything metal rubbing against the inside of the bell.
Yes, because they would be rather sensitive, wouldn't they? Tended to any grinding sort of contact.
That's
and you've
right.
got 14 of them altogether in this loft.
Yeah, we've got 14. I said the front ones are over that side, and the middle ones are that way.
Well, why don't we go up into the loft and have a look at them up there?
Right.
Okay, well, here we are then, up in your loft. Perhaps you'd like to tell us a bit about what all this means.
Well, so here they are. You can see them, more or less all of them, if I move around a bit. This one is the tenor. I've already showed you it from downstairs.
Yes.
Right next to it is the sharp treble. That's that one. This is the treble of the 12. And they go round in order: 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 6, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th.
There is a standard order, is there, then, for bells hung in a campanile?
Well, bells hung in any tower all have to be in tune and in the right order. There are very few exceptions where you get ropes coming down in the wrong order. But everything here is tried to be kept as straight and perfectly legitimate as possible.
So that anybody, once they've got used to the weight of the bells, could ring in virtually any peal then?
Once they've got used to the initial handling, as you can see, the wheels are very small in comparison to ordinary bell wheels. There are a handful of ringers who are very good at ringing these front ones. But the thing is that anything that we ring on them, peal or quarter peal wise, is always stopped if somebody loses control of a bell and it comes down, and and they lose control of it so badly that it's run itself down. I mean, you've got to stop, because in an ordinary peal, on any other peal of bells, you couldn't carry on ringing if somebody had rung their bell down during the ringing, could you?
No, I suppose not. Then I'm a complete ignoramus on bell ringing. Could we see some of these working?
Right. My brother will go down and demonstrate, I think. I think the 6th, Steve. 6th. This is the 6th. Steve's now going to ring it up. Yeah.
I see. That's now set up, is it?
That's now set at backstroke.
Yeah.
As you can see, they have no stays, which is the piece of wood that a normal bell would have coming out of its headstock about here.
Yeah.
And no sliders. The reason for this is that most people who ring them let them go over the balance so far that they would automatically bang on the stay and obviously break them, because the stays wouldn't be made of anything very substantial in a way. So we manage without stays. There's no need for them. The ringing's better without them. We've tried, but it's pointless.
The bells of this weight, I suppose.
Yeah.
And the wheels look as though they started off with a different purpose altogether.
Oh yes, well, obviously wooden wheels are both difficult to make for amateurs and expensive to buy if you don't make them yourself. These are all wheels off prams, push chairs, a few actual bicycle wheels. This one's a bicycle wheel, and the ones on the tenors off old-fashioned prams with big wheels. All the headstocks are all, most of this is 2x2. In fact, they're all 2x2 now, aren't they, Steve?
Yes, I think so.
You'll see on some of them there's a weight on the wheel.
Yes.
This is just ordinary steel, and it's there to make the bell swing at the right speed. So you can see, just swing it, the clapper will strike on the right side, and it will strike once every time.
Yes.
And it won't double strike, so giving you extra rings which you wouldn't have on ordinary bells. There's another point that I'd like to make. So everything that we do is legitimate, and I don't think we're breaking any rules at all.
The only extraordinary thing is the fact that these bells are made of clay and not of bell metal.
Oh, you probably think they bear a resemblance to flower pots. Maybe they do, but these were supplied to us by Harris's. And they knew exactly what they were supplying them to us for.
And made as bells?
For the purposes of ringing changes on clay bells. That's what they are.
It seems to me that you've got this frame very nicely set up in the loft. There's hardly an inch to spare, is there, in some places, between the wheels and the beams of the loft?
There isn't. You're quite right. It used to be much worse when we had the buckets because they were
rather
bigger in mass.
Yes.
So they had to be further apart to prevent them hitting together. You can see that these aren't particularly far apart, but the buckets had to be forced right over, and there were stages when we did have them hitting the roof.
Can I see one or two bits of damage?
There's a bit chopped out there where I forget which number it used to be, but it certainly used to hit the roof.
Well, thank you very much for this. I think possibly we should hear a bit more now about your actual band of bell ringers.
Right then.
Well, now we've had a look at the loft and seen what your bell frame is, or whatever you call it, I'd like to hear a little bit more about the sort of society you run here.
Well, I'm what's known as the master, sir, and my brother, Stephen Huff, is here. He's the secretary. He's more into the clerical side, but he's the one who's done all the peel boards, which
yes,
you can see around here. This peel board presents all the 3 peals that were rung on the buckets, which is very unfortunately are never to be recognised by the Central Council.
Oh, that seems a pity.
It is a pity. They were achievements, much bigger achievements than the achievements that we're likely to ring on these. In so much as
over 5,000.
Well, a peel has to be a minimum of 5,000 changes. These peals are all perfectly legitimate as well. There were no clappers sticking during them, so there was no double striking. In actual fact, the peel we attempted shortly before this one, I was ringing the second at the time, and the clapper seized up, and we only had 10 minutes to go. Less, what's the word, scrupulous people would have carried on regardless, but we stopped.
Took moral courage to do that, I suppose, then?
Well, I'm afraid we had to stop. You'd stop if you're on real bells, so we stopped those.
And you were telling me that you've got a sort of history of this band written up somewhere.
Yes, my brother keeps a visitor's book here, which he'd probably show the camera. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about it, Steve.
Yes, well, we started this visitor's book in 1974,
yes,
when a friend of ours from Loughborough Bells Foundry came down to inspect the bells at Petersfield, and he came along and tried them out, and we sort of thought, well, let's get his name down, you know, and we got a book, and anyway, it sort of filled out, and we've had over 300 visitors ever since then. And a lot of them are very famous names from faraway places. Earlier this year we actually had some people from Australia.
Great Scott.
Yes, who were just sort of passing through, and they came to ring here.
Well, it must be a pretty unique campanile you've got here.
Oh yes, certainly the only ring of ceramic bells in the world. It's anyway, this is what's been going on since we've had this particular set. We had the tryout session, which was a couple of days after we finished hanging them.
Yes.
A quarter peel a few days after. Then the peel, which we ran on the 31st of August last year, which is Kentrell Bob Royal. And the peel we'll show you later. The Railway Guild came on their social outing in October. And we had another outing from, was it Guildford University?
That was right.
Also had
But they're fairly local, aren't they?
Yes, yes. And we also had a district surprise practice, which should have actually been at Hawkley, but was cancelled because because the ringing hadn't actually been arranged there, and so we all said, well, right, come down to the Campanile and
Ring out.
ring here. There was only 7 of us, but and of course this peel that we rang earlier this year, 7th of January, in Granta Caters, which was not really a great achievement, but it was the ringing that was particularly good. Very good.
And you had some sort of badge or certificate, I noticed, as well.
Yes, well, I spent all day yesterday actually drawing this up. It's very rough, well, I say very rough.
The Society of Liss Campanile Youths.
Yes, we've
thought it'd be
so nice and exotic,
So you're going to get this printed, and everybody who joins your society can get a copy of this with this name.
That's right, yeah.
And your name's going to be there as master, is it?
Steve's the secretary there. The membership requirements are quite simple. You have to be able to ring them properly. Preferably run at least a quarter peal on them. There isn't any fee. You just leave a donation towards our new ropes. So you can see these ropes are all homemade. Very tricky business, our ropes. The top half of them is nylon.
Yes.
In actual fact, it's Venetian blind cord. It folds very easily, so it goes over the pulleys well.
It runs very,
And the pulleys, as you saw upstairs, there are actual pieces of motorcycle chain. The sallies are ordinary sallies off ordinary bell ropes, untwisted, cut into 3, and 2 sections twisted back together, and then trimmed up with a pair of scissors. I don't know what these rope ends are. Steve got them from somewhere. They're nice and soft, and the ropes are all just stitched together. A little bit primitive, but we tried writing to Peter Minchin, and his quotes are a little bit beyond us, I'm afraid.
Peter Minchin is a supplier, is he?
He's a rope maker from somewhere in Herefordshire or something.
Well, what we want to do now then is to get your society together and listen to a peal being rung.
Yeah, we'll
They'll be along in a few minutes,
they
will they?
should be along pretty soon, yeah. Around about 7 o'clock.
Ringing began in earnest after tea, when more members of the society turned up.
Do you want me to sort of introduce you to all the ringers then?
Oh, yes, please.
Right.
Why don't you start with the gentleman round here on the right?
Right. Simon Alford from Warnham near Horsham.
Yes.
He conducted the first peal on the new bells. Nick Allingham from Stockbridge.
Yes.
He hasn't rung any peals on them yet. I'm sure he will do. Anthony Townsend from Steep.
Yes.
And Jill Grice, also from Steep. Terry Collins, who is district ringing master.
Yes.
Derek Yates, who made all the fittings for the
Yes,
new
I think
bells.
I've heard of him.
Anne Collins, Terry's wife.
Oh, yeah?
Roy Lemarechal, Guild Peel recorder.
Yes.
One of the key people. Martin Turner from Farnborough, who's also rung peals and quarter peals here. Andrew Barnsdale's rung in most of the stuff here. John Collis, not sure. He rang in the last peal on them. Nick Portsmouth, Nick Allingham's brother, or sort of brother.
Suss that one out.
He hasn't rung any quarters or peals, he's just here for the beer. My brother Steve and Anne Bennett from Bishopstoke.
Was in the original quarter
He was in the first quarter peal ever rung on the bucket.
Go, guys. There you go. And after that.
We were up in the loft when they rang Grandsire Caters.